What is the most important invention in the entire history of mankind? Story 1. Fire. Without question. At least for humans, some birds, and maybe a few other species I'm forgetting. With the mastery of fire, humans could scare off predators, cook, and preserve food, especially meat. Fire allowed us to extract more nutrients from vegetables, insects, and meat, while making digestion easier. Having cooked food and stored meat meant we had food reserves, which led to better nutrition and ultimately the development of our big brains. Fire, food reserves, preserved meat, all of this boosted our nutrition, which fueled brain growth. Bigger brains led to smarter tools, advanced hunting, agriculture, the Industrial Revolution, and eventually computers. Computers brought us the internet, chat rooms, memes, and yes, Reddit. Story 2, the needle. With it, our ancestors were able to rapidly turn fur blankets into clothing and migrate out of Africa to colder climates. Underrated comment, I hadn't thought about that. Though I'm sure the out of Africa expansion took place with humans adapting to colder climates via wearing fur pelts and cloaks around themselves like we wear towels. You're right. Rope, cloth, and so many manufactured materials and techniques have their origins via the humble needle. Story 3. The steam engine. There were many great inventions throughout history, but humanity's progress stayed limited for thousands of years. People created small tools and even dreamed up advanced machines, but they were never practical. Then came steam power. Though early versions existed as far back as the 1st century AD, it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that steam engines truly changed everything. That era marked our shift from primitive existence to a machine-driven world. Even today, much of our electricity still comes from steam turbines, whether powered by nuclear energy or something else. Hydroelectricity is common too, but for me, the steam engine remains number 1. Story 4. The Torricelli vacuum tube. It was just a simple pipe filled with mercury, flipped upside down into a mercury bath. Yet it created a weak vacuum inside, and unexpectedly allowed people to predict the weather by observing pressure changes. That single invention gave birth to meteorology, reshaped physics and cosmology, challenged old philosophies, and paved the way for the Industrial Revolution. Ah yes, air pressure, a concept most people overlook today. The same scientists who tell you if it'll rain tomorrow are also the ones who warn you to evacuate before a hurricane hits. Story 5. Toilet paper. Sure, fire, the wheel, writing, and farming were monumental, but we could still survive without them, much like animals do. They were inevitable developments. Toilet paper, however, came at a crucial turning point. Without it, hygiene, plumbing, and even medical progress might have been severely delayed. It may sound silly, but toilet paper quietly pushed civilization forward more than most realize. Story 6. Farming, writing, and industrialization. There are 3 major contenders for the most important human advancements: farming, writing, and industrialization. Farming changed everything. Even though early farmers had a poorer diet than hunter-gatherers, agriculture gave people stability, a steady food supply, and a reason to settle down. Without that, specialization, and therefore invention, wouldn't have been possible. Writing was another massive leap. It allowed information to be stored reliably, skills, food safety, stories, without relying on memory or word of mouth. Knowledge no longer died with individuals. It could be preserved, taught, and improved upon. The printing press later supercharged that process. Industrialization was equally transformative. Machinery made goods affordable, mass-produced, and accessible. People's standards of living rose as cities grew and public infrastructure expanded. Sure, working conditions were often awful, but the overall leap in quality of life was undeniable. Story 7. Sharp rocks, not farming, not livestock, not writing, sharp rocks, the simplest of tools, sharp stones, let early humans carve, skin animals, and process fibrous plants. This efficiency gave them more food in less time and freed up hours once spent on survival. That extra free time fueled imagination and innovation, the foundation of everything from irrigation systems to SpongeBob memes. Without that early breakthrough, we'd still be just another species of great ape. Story 8. The domestication of the horse. The day humans tamed horses, everything changed. Before that, we carried goods on our backs, floated them down rivers, or relied on slow-moving cattle. Horses gave us speed. We could travel far, fast, and connect cultures through trade. They powered agriculture, transformed warfare, and reshaped civilization. Sure, you can ride cows, llamas, or donkeys, but none match a horse's speed or grace. And to think, horses were domesticated as recently as 3,500 BC. There are pyramids older than that. Story 9. The idea of humanity itself. Long ago, before our ancestors even left the trees, the concept of humanity didn't exist. They were humans, yes, but not the idea of being human. At some point, our ancestors had to invent that idea, to distinguish themselves from animals, from other humanoid species like Neanderthals or Denisovans, and to ask, who am I? Who are we? Recognizing ourselves as human was revolutionary. It gave us identity, belonging, and the foundation for empathy. Without understanding what it means to be human, concepts like universal human rights would be impossible. That simple idea, knowing what we are, shapes civilization itself. Story 10. Boolean algebra. Boolean algebra, the ability to reduce anything into a series of true or false, yes or no statements, changed the world. Through simple operations like and, Oregon, and not, it became the foundation of modern computing. It transformed the transistor from a basic electrical switch into the building block of digital civilization. Few inventions, maybe the wheel, gunpowder, or the internal combustion engine, rival its impact. Yet it's one of the most important things no one ever talks about in school. Story 11, I'd say boats. If humans couldn't cross oceans and rivers, the entire course of history would be unrecognizable. Imagine if it had taken centuries to travel between continents. Trade, exploration, and cultural exchange would have been nearly impossible. When you think about it, it hasn't even been that long since we first did it. Europeans only reached the Americas within the last 1,000 years, a blink in human history. Boats changed the world more than we realize. Story 12. Refrigeration deserves a spot near the top. It extended the life of food from mere days to years, revolutionized storage, and made global food systems possible. Many medicines wouldn't even exist without temperature control. Mastering temperature didn't just change how we eat, it made life possible almost anywhere on Earth and even off it. Also, I hate summer. Jokes aside, refrigeration represents one of humanity's final frontiers in controlling our environment. Civilization itself can be seen as our ongoing attempt to shape the world around us, and refrigeration was the last, hardest step in that journey. Story 13. The storage of information from writing to analog to digital changed everything. Before that, all knowledge had to be passed from person to person. If a master craftsman died without teaching an apprentice, all that skill and experience vanished. Humanity had to start from scratch over and over again. Once we learned to record and store knowledge, progress became cumulative. We could build upon past discoveries, learn from old mistakes, and preserve the wisdom of entire generations. That's how human civilization stopped resetting and started advancing. Story 14. Agriculture is the foundation of civilization. Before farming, we were nomadic hunter-gatherers moving constantly, following herds and leaving behind anyone too weak to keep up. Gathering food was dangerous and survival was uncertain. Once we learned to plant crops and settle in one place, everything changed. We could build permanent shelters, craft tools, and develop new technology. Settlements became villages, villages became towns, towns became cities, and cities became empires. It all started when someone said, "What if we just grow our food here?" Story 15, books, and by extension, the printing press completely transformed humanity. In medieval times, almost no one could read or write. Books were painstakingly hand-copied and expensive, so knowledge was trapped in the hands of the few. Then came the printing press, mass-producing books faster than ever before. It sparked the Renaissance, spreading knowledge of geography, science, politics, philosophy, and more across Europe. It led explorers to new lands, thinkers to new ideas, and society from the Dark Ages into the Age of Exploration. Without books and printing, we wouldn't have learned, advanced, or connected the way we did. Tablets came first, sure, but books brought real enlightenment. Story 16, Glass. It might not top every list, but glass absolutely deserves a high spot. Without it, we wouldn't have telescopes to explore the universe, or microscopes to understand the tiny world inside us. Millions rely on glasses just to see clearly. And in the modern age, glass makes up computer and smartphone screens, the very surfaces that connect us to endless information. From stargazing to surgery to scrolling, glass has quietly shaped the way we see everything. Story 17, The Theory of Evolution. The theory of evolution stands out because it's not just about biology, it's about understanding ourselves. Darwin's idea fundamentally changed how we view life and our place in it. It also helped shift power away from religious authorities and towards science and reason. For centuries, religion explained creation and justified authority. But when evolution offered a scientific alternative to divine creation, it gave people the courage to question those systems. In many ways, it was a turning point that helped usher in modern, secular thought, redefining how humanity sees itself. Story 18, Tartar. It might sound dramatic, but gunpowder and by extension, guns reshaped civilization. Before firearms, power belonged to the strongest warriors, those who could swing swords or ride horses into battle. But a gun gave anyone, even the smallest soldier, the power to defeat someone 10 times their size. Gunpowder brought cannons that tore down city walls and helped empires like the Ottomans rise. Once Europeans saw its potential, they put cannons on ships, kickstarting the age of exploration and global colonization. From warfare to empire building, gunpowder didn't just change battles, it changed the entire world order. Story 19. The domestication of dogs might be one of humanity's greatest achievements. Fire is hard to beat, sure, but dogs come close. If civilization somehow collapsed and we lost all our technology, humans with dogs would still have a shot at survival. They help us hunt, guard us from danger, and even sniff out edible plants. Together, man and dog form one of history's most powerful alliances. Without dogs, and maybe without fire, our survival would have been a lot tougher. Story 20. The smartphone might just be the pinnacle of human invention. Think about it. A small device that fits in your hand gives you access to all human knowledge and lets you talk to anyone, anywhere. It's like civilization leveled up. But of course, it stands on the shoulders of giants: the internet, radio, microchips, writing, fire, agriculture, astronomy, all the building blocks of progress. The smartphone is the ultimate fusion of everything we've ever learned. Story 21, The Internet and PCs. It's surprising how few people mention the internet or personal computers, probably because most of us were born into the digital age and don't even notice it anymore. I still remember typing school papers on a typewriter, make too many mistakes and you'd have to start over. Research meant going to the library, asking the librarian, and flipping through books by hand. Everything was done on paper, from records to mail orders. You'd send a check through the post and wait weeks for your item. Now, instant information, instant connection. The internet changed everything so much that if it disappeared overnight, society would practically collapse. We live in a world it completely rebuilt. Story 22. The internet and the telephone. If I had to pick one, I'd still go with the internet, though the telephone was the key stepping stone. The telephone gave us the first taste of instant communication, transferring information faster than ever before. It revolutionized business, politics, and war. Then the internet came along and amplified it infinitely. Now, instead of one-on-one calls, everyone can access all human knowledge at once. It's wild to think how normal it feels to have what used to be impossible: instant global communication and shared information all in our pockets. Story 23. The most underrated invention? Trade. Sure, fire took us from cavemen to early humans, but trade changed how we interacted entirely. It replaced violence with cooperation, a shift from winner takes all to we both win. That simple idea that two sides could both benefit from exchange laid the foundation for civilization itself. Trade turned constant tribal warfare into collaboration, innovation, and progress on a massive scale. Story 24. The Central Tendency Theorem. The Central Tendency Theorem might sound niche, but it's quietly one of the pillars of modern science and reasoning. It explains how averages behave based on sample sizes, allowing us to compare data and make sense of uncertainty. Basically, it lets us say A is better than B with confidence, even if we don't know every single variable. That principle underlies evidence-based research, progress, and the entire academic process. It's how we learn, test, and improve. Story 25. Clean water. As much as I respect writing or agriculture, I think clean water wins. Throughout history, nothing has saved more lives than access to safe drinking water. Ancient civilizations developed creative ways to purify it, and every leap in sanitation improved life expectancy dramatically. If clean water is number one, vaccines are number two. Both have saved more lives than any war, invention, or technology ever could. Sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful. Story 26. Language. Some people might say the written word was humanity's greatest leap, but without language, those words would mean nothing. The ability to communicate complex thoughts, share ideas, and teach others is what truly set us apart. It's how we collaborated, hunted, built, and eventually told stories around fires. Maybe even how one curious hominid decided to eat a strange mushroom growing out of mammoth poop and accidentally supercharged their brain. Language wasn't just a tool. It was the spark that made every other human invention possible. Story 27. Religion. An unpopular opinion, but religion might be one of humanity's most important inventions. Not because of belief itself, but because it made people ask the big questions. What came before us? What happens after? Why does anything exist at all? Those questions gave birth to philosophy and, eventually, science. Religion also brought early forms of social organizations, communities, leaders, and shared moral codes, turning nomadic tribes into structured societies. In many ways, religion was humanity's first operating system for civilization. Story 28. Paper is one of the simplest yet most transformative inventions in history. It allowed written knowledge to spread far and wide from schools to governments, from art to accounting. It made information portable, replicable, and affordable. We still use it every day in banks, classrooms, and offices without even thinking about it. The creation of cheap, mass-producible paper shaped human progress for centuries, and now the internet has become the digital paper of our time, continuing that same legacy on a global scale. Story 29. Cooking meat. Cooking meat is what truly set humans apart. It unlocked more calories, reduced disease risk, and made digestion easier, meaning we could hunt less often and still thrive. That extra energy fueled brain growth and freed time for innovation. Later, selective breeding of plants changed the game again. Crops like dwarf wheat, stronger and higher yielding, allowed billions to survive. Shorter stalks meant they could withstand wind and survive in harsher environments. From fire to farming, these discoveries kept humanity fed and evolving. Story 30. The landline telephone. Behold the once and future king of communication, the landline telephone. This old tech once revolutionized how people connected, killing off telegrams and shrinking the world in ways even Facebook couldn't dream of. The landline was reliable, simple, and distraction-free. No dropped calls, no endless notifications, no tracking. Just clear, honest communication. When researchers tested it, people spent less time glued to screens and more time talking face to face. Socializing, dating, nightlife all saw a boost. It gave users peace of mind and a genuine human connection. So yeah, maybe it's time to bring the landline back. It just works.